Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday SleeperWaiver Show. As you notice, Mike is not here this week. He's actually at the hospital, but don't worry. He is okay. He's fine. Congratulations to him and Baby Dirty Jobs Jr. Yes, that's right. Mike and his girl had a baby today, so he obviously prioritized that over being here. I don't know what he was thinking, but we're going to allow
priorities in order.
We're going to allow it one time, just one time. So, being that today is the presidential election and the fact that we're not going to get into politics, I decided to get the CEO, the El Presidente, the commander-in-chief of SleeperWire on the show. I dragged him out of his basement. I took him out of his bunker. I put him in front of the camera. Hus, what's going on, brother?
What's up, guys? I'm here. This is a great time to be alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sort of.
Give me 48 hours. We'll know in 48 hours is a great day to be alive or not.
Yeah, exactly. But the important thing is we're here. We got waivers to put in. We got football. Right. It's week 9.
So, like at the beginning of the season, did you really think we'd make it to week 9?
No, I mean,
I didn't. I figured we'd get about 6 weeks.
I mean, in my head, I was just like, I was selling myself. Yes, absolutely. We're gonna get football. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get football. You know, you and I run a lot of leagues. You run a lot more leagues than I do. So part of that is just kind of like, what do I do? Just tell you, oh, thanks for your donation to our charity, which is cool because it is charity, right? Yeah. So a lot of people are cool about it. So it's a fun time of the year. Nerve-wracking because the playoffs are around the corner for some of you, hopefully. And yeah, I mean, if you're listening to the show, you're probably going to be making the playoffs. You're all right. You're all right.
You're all right. You're doing fine.
Yeah.
So
happy to hear
it. It is Tuesday, November 3rd, which is also the trade deadline. So we had a huge monster trade in the AFC East today. I don't know if you've seen this or not. It was one that everybody's seen coming. It involved the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots, and where they sent Isaiah Ford to New England. Honestly, I gotta admit, like that's not really that big news. It was actually
exciting stuff.
It was earth shattering. It was actually a pretty quiet day at the trade deadline this year.
I think the Will Fuller. With the boy just tapping on his desk, that was the most excitement that we got because we're like, oh no, he's on the move, and then absolutely nothing happened.
Literally, like just a couple small minor things, but nothing that is really affecting anybody.
Yeah, cuts are happening. That's actually the biggest thing after these trades. Comes cut season, so hopefully you guys are paying attention to that because we're going to talk about some players on waivers that probably were cut from a team, might go to another team. This is the time. So there's times where I don't want to pay for that guy. I'm just going to pick him up off of waivers, right? Yep. I mean, this is how we do as fantasy players as well. NFL teams are going to be doing the same thing. So I'll help you out.
So let me throw a couple of names at you. I want to know if you have any interest in them at all at this point. First one is with a little bit of news as well. Myles Gaskins got a sprained MCL. He's expected to miss the next couple of weeks. They're saying about 3 weeks. He's the PPR back number 17 on the year so far. So if you got him, he's been a solid RB2 for you. At the deadline, the Dolphins acquired DeAndre Washington from the Chiefs. Do you have any interest in Washington, Burrito, or Howard, or how do you think that situation is going to shake out?
I mean, we saw how it was trying to, shake itself out. I mean, they used Jordan Howard, they used Matt Breida. I think the lack of the offseason really affected them. Gaskins knows this offense, right? Yep. I mean, this is his second year here. Yep. He knows the players. I think it was a little bit different for him. And Gaskins did shine last year. So it's not like Gaskins came out of nowhere, right? Matt Breida, I mean, he should be good. I would say go pick him up. Don't expect too much from him. I think Salvon Ahmed, maybe. DeAndre Washington's probably depth. But DeAndre Washington last season, towards the end of the season, he did very well, like in your playoffs. I mean, no one started him, but if you were playing daily or anything like that, he probably won you some money. So that has always intrigued me about DeAndre Washington. Him just, being on another team. When he was on Kansas City at first, I was like, okay, cool. Like he might get an opportunity here. Then obviously they brought in CEH. But yeah, I'm a little intrigued about these guys, but I mean, I'm not adding any of these guys if I'm in, got small rosters. It's got to be a really deep league.
I may add Burita, but even the Miami Dolphin homer in me. Listen, they got Tua back there as the quarterback. I forget exactly who Miami plays this week, but it's not an easy matchup at all. I've got really unless I'm desperate, I'm not starting any of these guys. I may stash Burita just to see how it works out, just because I believe him to be the pass catching back now. We know it's not going to be Jordan Howard. I don't think Washington's going to get worked into the offense just coming over, not even knowing the playbook. I think he's more depth than anything. So maybe Burita is somebody I stash, but other than that, I've got no interest there. I'm not starting any of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are all kind of like Peyton Barber territory. Yep. I feel like, it's a starter. They're playing the Cardinals this week.
Yeah, starter in name only.
It's a late, it's a late game too. So yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, none of these guys are sexy. I mean, but sometimes you just need a back. If you need a filler, Gaskins did go down. There's a lot of injuries this year. If you're dealing with a team that's hoarding backs and they don't want to trade, then yeah, I mean, go out there and pick him up. And I wouldn't feel comfortable starting him. Probably want to start like Latavius over him, but.
So I'm going to get into an area with you now where some of these names are just the most obscure names. So I know you know a lot about them. AJ Dillon, well, we all know who he is. Rookie for Green Bay, tested positive for COVID. Jamal Williams has been considered a high-risk contact via the tracing program, so he's unavailable for Thursday's game. I'm getting there, Hus. I'm telling you, these most obscure names, you know these guys. Don't get ahead of me now, man. Aaron Jones is very much in doubt. So the Packers could be down the top 3 running backs on their team, which only leaves guys by the name of Tyler Ervin and the practice squatter that they drafted last year in the 5th round, Dexter Williams. What can you tell me about these guys, Hus? I know you know them.
I mean, I'm more excited about Tyler. I've always been excited about Tyler. He's always had like some appeal to him. He's never really had a shot because he's been behind a guy and a guy. Absolutely, Spack.
Yes.
Breda, only in PPR, absolutely.
Only in PPR.
And Spack, speaking of Spack was all over Breda. So if you guys are listening to, I'm sure you've listened to the show, you've heard Spack talk about Breda. Yeah, didn't work out too well this season, but he's got an opportunity. So yeah, opportunity knocks for him, and he's definitely a back that you want to add. And only in PPR leagues, add him. He should be. He should be rosterable. You're not going to get too excited about it, but he is a back out there, and you want to just kind of hold him off of somebody else's team, if nothing else.
So they get the 49ers this week. Are you starting either one of these guys? Like, do you feel comfortable on a Thursday night playing either Dexter Williams or Tyler Ervin? I feel like Dexter Williams will be the lead back with Tyler Ervin being the PPR back.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I mean, the question, no, I don't feel comfortable starting either of these guys. But I mean, I do. I mean, look, these are obscure guys, so people will listen to me sometimes and be like, "Oh, he seems excited about this guy." And really, I just get excited about the people. Yeah, absolutely, definitely has some appeal. Really, I only get excited about these guys that. It's we know about so many of these other players. It's not fun, to me at least, to talk about players that everyone knows about. I want to talk about the Irvins and the guys that's probably not going to get a shot. The guy behind Dexter Williams, because I mean, Dexter Williams is, I don't know, he's not really much of anything. I am intrigued by Tyler Ervin. He's looked pretty good when he has given opportunities. They've got a ton of good backs there. And yeah, he's going to get an opportunity. If you got nothing else, sure, start him. I probably would want to start him over Breda.
All right, so I'm going to get into some more obscure players for you. I want to quote Jerry Jones here. He said, and I quote, regarding Ben DiNucci's starting this past week, frankly, more than he could handle is how he described Ben DiNucci starting this week last week rather, for the Cowboys. Cowboys are considering activating Cooper Rush from the practice squad and are turning to Garrett Gilbert to start in week 9 against the Steelers. So I'm not suggesting you're willing to start Garrett Gilbert. Okay, I'm not even going there. My question for you is: do you trust starting Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb? Like,
no,
the offensive players?
No, these guys are all flexes for you at this point. All of them. It sucks. I actually ranked them all not appropriate. I just all ranked them kind of high last week. Not high, but higher than they should have. Just because I'm like, these guys are studs. I don't know what this guy Ben is going to do. He could come out there and make them serviceable, but I don't think he could do much.
So,
I don't think he could do much worse than with.
I think Gallup was serviceable this past week, and in a PPR league, he did okay. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't amazing. Gallup did okay. I believe he had 7 catches for like 65 yards or something like that. So that was serviceable. Ezekiel Elliott is still going to get a volume workload. So I would view him probably as a top 15 running back, maybe. No. But he's like, you didn't draft Zeke to be a top 15 running back. Like, you drafted him to be a top 5.
Yeah, you're playing the matchups with him right now at this point.
Yeah,
and they don't have good matchups.
They get the Steelers.
Yeah, so and the rest of the season is trash.
Yeah, and I don't even know if you can sit like Zeke, even though he's got the Steelers this week. Like, I think you're still stuck having to start him.
I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, you probably can't trade him for much right now. But
no, you can't. I tried. Trust me. I tried in a dynasty league. I tried to trade him
and a Dino, yeah, of course.
Listen, I tried to trade him to Fallon in a dynasty for James Robinson and DeAndre Swift, and I would throw in a pick as well. She wouldn't do it.
What? No, yeah. In a Dino, I'm absolutely smashing that. I mean,
see, Fallon, you should have smashed it.
You should have smashed that. I mean, you're getting Zeke in a dynasty? Like, yeah, take that. I mean, come on.
I mean, he's only 25. He's still relatively young. Jason said sit him. We'll discuss that on Sunday, Jason. But, I mean, depending on your options, you may not – like, between COVID, you
might not be able to.
The bye weeks, the injuries.
You might not be able to.
Like, you may have Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones on your roster, and now you're deciding between Tyler Ervin and Zeke Elliott. Like, this is going to be a thing.
The crazy thing is, and as we were talking about, because I felt like it was going to come up, and as it just goes through my mind, I'm like, the crazy thing is the Ervin Zeke thing. It's crazy, but it's like the Green Bay is still 4th in touchdowns. Like, they're going to get the opportunity to be on the goal line, and Irvin's probably going to get the opportunity to score a touchdown. So,
I think right now the biggest, if Lazard can come back this week, I don't expect him. I think he's got one more week.
Yeah, I think he's a week out. Yeah.
I mean, he was practicing this past week.
Yeah,
but I don't expect him back this week. So we'll talk about him on the waiver show. If he's on the waivers, grab him. Sure. He was a wide receiver 2, and then a top 5 finish the first 2 weeks he actually played. So definitely we'll talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, for sure, him and Adams, if those guys don't get healthy and get right, like, they're just going to see a ton of passes their way. It's going to be ridiculous.
So going back to the Tyler Ervin and Zeke, I don't know. I mean, like, it's crazy to say that. I'm almost slightly more excited to, like, at first when you first asked me, I'm like, no, I don't want to start. But as we're talking and thinking about it, I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I do want to start Tyler Ervin over Zeke. I mean, I probably don't have the balls to do that, and I would never tell any of our fans to. But in a DFS, I mean, I'm trying to, I do that.
In a DFS, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I absolutely can see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, congrats. We mentioned that at the top of the show. The reason Mike's not here, he had a baby. Like I said, he had his priorities messed up. I think he should have been here doing the show, but we'll let it slide this week.
Yeah. Shame on you, man. Baby taking over shows. What kind of stuff is this? Definitely 2020 when stuff like that happens.
All right, so we're gonna jump away from the news. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, we didn't even touch George Kittle getting injured. We'll discuss that when we go over the waiver wire pickups. Couple of guys here I'm going to throw at you. Let me know if you'd be willing to drop these guys in a 12-team PPR league, or if these are guys you're just not ready to cut bait on. Okay. First one I'm going to give you is Josh Kelly.
Not ready.
Not ready. J.D. McKissick.
I'm ready. I'm ready. He's got a lot of targets.
Yeah,
that's why I'm kind of ambivalent about it. But it's got to be Gibson season, right? I mean,
I don't know if it's. I don't know if it'll be Gibson season. I think this is the very definition of a running back by committee, and they're going to involve both these guys. Like,
I wish they would, especially in the passing game.
J.D. McKissick or Zeke.
Oh my God.
Okay, then. See, you're not even sure.
I mean, Zeke, though. Zeke. No, but Zeke for sure, though. I mean, but I'm thinking about the targets. So,
yes,
like,
I know.
When I said, oh my God, I was only thinking about the targets. I'm not thinking about J.D. McKissick talent.
I know.
But the guy gets targeted a ton. He's like top 10 targets for running backs.
It's
like,
crazy.
What the heck? I was looking back at targets. I like looking at targets, opportunities, all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, this good top 10 in running backs per target. I'm like, are you serious? They're giving this guy like 4.5 a game.
Yeah.
It's insane. And sometimes he gets up to like 7. So,
yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's gross, super gross. I don't know. I'm starting Zeke over McKissick, but I guess you're holding on to McKissick because he is getting work. He is getting work.
The next two are on the same team, so I'll throw them together. One is on IR, and I also believe he's on the COVID list. James White and Sony Michel.
Oh man, these guys talking about James Hart. I mean James Hart. It is my heart. James White is my heart. He's you love your PPR backs. So. I love my PPR. I love my obscure guys. Like when no one knew who James White was, just like, nah, man, that's the dude, man. He's gonna ball out, and he just did. And I hated the Patriots, but I was happy that he balled out because I was like, I think he's got the chops for it. Sony, this is hard. It's very hard because you don't want to drop a running back. So I would say no to both. It's tough. I don't want to drop a running back. I mean, I'm probably trying to trade some of these guys. What's up, Tyler?
What's up, Tyler? So I'm in a 16-team half-point PPR league, and somebody dropped Sony Michel, and he's been on waivers now for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, Sony's one of those players. Like, when you think about it, like, whenever I drop, you said how many teams is that?
16.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and he's been on waivers for 2 weeks. Nobody's touched him. Yeah, he's droppable.
Yeah. I mean, he's not doing anything with anything, so.
No. Yeah. Jason is begging us to answer this question. How many 300-yard games do we expect from AB? He's asking for
himself.
Yes, exactly. 0, Jason.
Yeah, come on. He's gonna be like 9 for like 57 or some shit like that in a touchdown.
I don't even think that. Like if you listen to Bruce Arians, he said he's going to be on the field for 10 plays. He could be on the field for 35 plays, but he won't be on the field for 60 plays. So I don't know.
35 is plenty for AB. I mean, he's already got rapport with Tom Brady. They had one game together last year.
Who was it against? Who was it against?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Who was it against?
No. That's not the point. I know it was against. It was a different team. Way different team. That's not fair to say it exactly. I'm glad you said the year because this Dolphins team ain't your daddy's Dolphins team, right?
No, this is. I love what they're doing down in Miami. Love it.
I'm excited. I think I'm swaying to the. I was swaying over here to the Brady and the Bucks. I don't know, just I was going to move to Dallas
train.
at one point. Definitely wasn't going to root for those guys. But
Jacksonville. You got to join the Tua train. You got to jump on that Tua train.
Yeah, it's cooler. It seems like the thing to do. It seems like what all the cool kids are doing. So you're one of the cool kids.
I was one of the cool kids long before it was cool to be a cool kid.
Exactly. There you go.
I've gone through all the pain and suffering of being a Miami fan.
I know.
All right, we're gonna jump right into some. Yeah. The only thing worse than the Knicks is the Magic. Jeez, all of our players get really good and then they leave.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah. Aaron Gordon's coming to the Knicks, by the way.
What year is it?
I don't know. It's 2020, so anything is possible, right?
All right,
Kevin Garnett scream.
Yeah, exactly. Let's jump into some of the wide receivers that we got going on here. Again, 12-team PPR. Let me know if these are guys you're willing to drop. Keelan Cole.
Yeah, I mean, he looked great at the beginning of the season, but yeah, you could drop him.
And I don't think it's him. I think it's more their quarterback situation right now. Like, and Gardner's going to be sitting. They're bringing in the backup. Like, there's just not going to be enough targets to go around. Scotty Miller from Tampa.
I mean, I was kind of off of him last week. I feel like he's going to have these spotty games for you. He's not a player I want to have on my team. Yeah, I agree. Probably likely, right?
And then Jason said this: "Give me those 60 passing yards." You know what? Give me that W.
Yeah, right. I'll take that. I mean, I started Tua in a league, and I still won, so I'll take the W. So you know what I mean? Like, everyone else did their job. He gave me 7 points. It was just enough. I think I won by like 6 or something like that.
That's all you need. Listen, I wouldn't say start Tua, but the second half of the season, maybe his schedule upcoming is pretty rough.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. But again, with these rookie quarterbacks, you just never know what they can do.
Correct.
Defenses can't plan for them. So we'll get to, I guess, quarterbacks, but I'm probably not dropping Tua right away.
All right. How about Hunter Renfrow and Traquan Smith? Are you keeping either one of them?
I don't think any of these guys are going to help you win. So, no. I think you could drop them, package them in a trade or something like that. I don't think anyone wants them, though.
Now we're going to get into a couple ones, some that I think are going to be a little bit more difficult. Those ones were all kind of easy. I agree. They're all basically drops. How about Mecole Hardman?
I think he's just starting to ramp it up, but it's going to be difficult for you to drop him. But again, the Chiefs offense, they're not going to just even Tyreek Hill. I mean, Tyreek Hill's not having a Tyreek Hill year, right?
He's still. We're going into week 8.
He's productive.
He does not have a 100-yard game this year.
Right. Yeah, I think it was under 93 yards or something like that.
His most was 99, and I think that was either week 1 or week 2.
Okay. Cool.
This past week he had 98. So he has yet to break the 100-yard the 100-yard mark.
Yeah, I mean, he's still producing for you. It's just not those big boom games. He's been more steady Eddie. But yeah, these guys, meaning, these wide receivers on the Chiefs, if it's not Tyreek Hill, you don't really feel comfortable starting this guy unless you're in you're in a deep league. But yeah, I don't think I want to drop Mecole just because I think he does have a lot of boom potential to kind of take over that whole job.
I like him as a flex. I like having that boomer bust player in my flex spot.
Yeah, I'm okay with that for sure.
The next guy, I don't know how high you are on him, especially being a rookie, and we only got to see him in one game. But and now they're on a bye this week. But I'm pretty high just because there's not a whole lot else there, and that's Jalen Rhaegar. If you've got him, are you cutting him or are you stashing or?
No, he's a super stash. I mean, you should have had him stashed a week ago, or a week before that. I'm actually, it's nice to see Fulgham continue to do what he's been doing.
Yep.
But I mean, overall, I feel like Rhaegar's going to take over that number 1 spot. And then, I mean, that schedule is beautiful. That playoff schedule is beautiful.
Fantastic. Yes, it is.
So yeah, absolutely want to flex that guy. And then with this year, you just never know. There's so many injuries. So absolutely, you're stashing him. You're gonna start him as a flex at some points. You could have started him last week, and
it would have paid off too.
Yeah. So
Henry Ruggs, Curtis Samuel, or Deebo Samuel?
Oof.
Are you going to cut any of those?
I don't want to, but I think I'm not going to win with these guys. I don't feel like I'm going to ever trust them in my lineup.
I think I can cut Ruggs and feel okay about that. I want to have Samuel on my bench, and I think I want Deebo as well. That's me personally.
Yeah, I mean, with Kittle missing time, that whole Niners.
I would just say Kittle's done for the year.
Poor Niners fans, man. I feel for you guys, but I'm a Giants fan, so maybe you feel for us too. Hopefully,
yeah. I don't recall, other than Philadelphia, I don't recall a team having as many injury problems as San Francisco has had. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think like 47% of their team is injured or something like that. So it's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
You thought there was going to be a nice bounce back from not going to the Super Bowl, not from losing the Super Bowl, but that it's just a brutal year for Niners fans, I think, especially after that losing the Super Bowl. But
yeah, I can't even say they got a Super Bowl hangover just because they've been so injured they haven't had a chance to have that.
Right. So we just don't know what the team is going to look like. We don't know if Jimmy G is.
Oh, we know who Jimmy G is. He's not good.
We do.
He's not good. He's average.
Yeah, and you don't want that on an NFL level.
No. Couple of tight ends here. We'll roll through right onto the tight ends. Dalton Schultz, Mike Gesicki, or Jimmy Graham. Are you ready to? Or let me throw Tyler Higbee in there too. Are you ready to cut any of those?
Schultz, Higbee, Graham, or who was the last one? Just a second. Gesicki. Tight end's a wasteland. It always is every year.
It's a touchdown or bust.
I don't think you could cut these guys. I mean, unless you're trading for something better. I mean, sure, you can cut any of these guys, but I mean, as far as like it's hard. It's got to be like a Millsap question, like, oh, this guy or that guy. Then sure, but just in a vacuum, I don't know. The tight ends aren't very good out there, but at this point, you are streaming them. Oh, so yeah, they are so terrible, right?
Yeah, if you're playing any of those guys, you're playing matchups.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that Evan Ingram's he's been such a disappointment this year, right? But he's kind of like consistent, like as a tight end. You know what I mean? It's like
he's got that safe floor.
He's giving you those. He gives you those old tight end numbers, right? Like not the new 2000 and what we're doing with these tight ends, Kelsey, Waller, like those. That's not tight end numbers. Those are wide receiver numbers, right? Like tight ends usually don't do that. Ingram's giving you that floor, but yeah, tight ends is, but yeah, and that's how bad it is, right? That's how bad it is, because we're talking about Ingram does third in targets among all tight ends, and he's still like, I'm not gonna call him trash, but you're not excited to start him, but you kind of are, because you have to. What else are you doing?
Do we think, and I'm asking you just because you're the Giants fan,
yeah,
do we think Ingram is bad, or do we think Daniel Jones is bad?
I think that line is bad. I think he lost, Saquon Barkley, the best player on the whole team.
Yeah, it definitely hurt everybody across the board when you lose somebody.
I mean, all you got to do is defend what are you going to do? Guard Wayne Gallman? They're going to pass. Daniel Jones, he had a typical sophomore slump, and obviously he didn't have the offensive line. He didn't have a lot of things. A lot of guys have these sophomore slumps. That's why I usually don't like second-year players. I was kind of down on Kyler, wrongfully so, because he's just a different type of a quarterback, right? He just it doesn't matter where he plays. Those kind of quarterbacks, writing's on the walls with these kind of guys. As we start to get more information in the evolution of the quarterback position, these guys, these mobile guys, you can kind of see this. Daniel Jones, this is off year for him. I think he'll have a bounce back year next year. I wasn't really high on Daniel Jones this year. Again, just because sophomore slump, I really believe in sophomore slump. Unless, you got to be that top tier where it just doesn't affect you. But Giants got a bunch of problems to fix. They're going to have a high pick at least. And hopefully hopefully Gettleman doesn't trade it away or something like that. But we got Gettleman. So, what are you going to
do? Who has a better pick? The Giants or the Texans? I'm curious.
Oh, I mean, probably the Giants, but who knows? I mean, Texans are.
I'm hoping this the Texans because Miami's got their.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm hoping Miami gets another top 5 pick. That would make, if Miami gets a top 5 pick, that means they traded Laramie Tunsil for a top 5 pick and then a top 5 pick in the second round as well. Which is
I mean, that would be sweet. That would definitely be sweet. Yeah, I mean. We're not going to talk anymore about the Dolphins because I was going to go on another Dolphins tangent, but
don't do that. Don't do that. All right, so quarterbacks. We're going to move right along here to quarterbacks. Couple quarterbacks. I'm going to give you. Let me know if you're ready to cut these guys or not. We're going to start with Cam Newton and Jared Goff.
Cam Newton.
Single quarterback league. I want to throw that out there. We're not doing super flex.
Yeah, you can get rid of Newton. Goff, no. Absolutely not. He's got an amazing schedule.
All right. How about Teddy B or Kirk Cousins?
Picking one or cutting one?
You can cut one, cut both, keep both, whatever you want to do.
In a 2 QB, I'm probably just gonna cut these guys and play the matchups.
Yeah, it's 1 QB. Yeah. All right, we're gonna throw this question. We're gonna answer Tyler's question real quick. In a 14-team league. Got Ridley, Higgins, Kirk, Deontay Johnson, and Crowder. Have to start 3. If Ridley doesn't play, who would you guys pick up off waivers? Kendrick Bourne, Jalen Rhaegar, Allen Lazard, or Josh Reynolds?
It's going to be between Rhaegar and Lazard.
Yeah, I agree.
I am excited about Lazard. It should be a smash Rhaegar. But I am excited about Lazard. He's
in a
very small sample.
Let me ask you this. Would you be willing to drop Christian Kirk for either Rhaegar or Lazard?
I don't think I would.
And then pick them both up?
I don't think I would. I think I'd probably prefer to drop Higgins.
I love T. Higgins.
Oh, that's T. Sorry.
Yeah, T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Rashard Higgins.
No,
if it's Rashard Higgins. Yeah, if it's Rashard Higgins, we'll get rid of him. But yeah. I think he's talking T. Higgins.
Yeah, that's probably it. And I should have guessed T first, but I don't know why I have Rashard in my head. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to drop those other guys either. Definitely not Crowder. No. But yeah, if I had to choose one, it's gonna be Rhaegar.
Yeah, if I got to choose one, I'm no help. I'm gonna go Lazard just because I like his quarterback better.
And he does have a great schedule.
Yeah.
Not schedule, but I mean, like he's top to the quarterback, and he's top 12 in points. Granted, only 3 games.
There's a league I don't want to play in. You can only do 1 pickup a week. No, thank you, Tyler.
Yeah,
you're much more hardcore than me.
Yeah, I'm picking up a guy and I'm dropping him right afterwards because I'm so indecisive. So
yes, exactly. All right, so we burned through all the guys that you can drop. Now, these are not guys we're saying immediately run to your team and drop these guys. These are guys we're just saying, hey, if you got a better option, it's okay to drop these guys. It's not an endorsement of saying just drop them right now and be done with it. That's just not the way we do things here. So with that, now let's get into some guys that we can all go out and pick up. We'll start with the most fun position on the field. It's the most important one on the team. It is the quarterbacks. Guys that are injured, we talked a little bit earlier, but Jimmy Garoppolo has got an ankle injury. It's a high ankle sprain. They're expecting him to miss quite a few weeks. Andy Dalton's got a concussion. They're not expecting him back this week. Gardner Minshew's dealing with a thumb. He's not going to be back this week. You got Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, and Baker Mayfield all on a bye this week. So you got a lot of quarterbacks that are out. quarterbacks to check that are highly owned, but see if they're available in your leagues. If Derek Carr, Matt Stafford are available, I would add both of them.
Absolutely.
Carr's about 80% rostered. Stafford's about 78%. So those are guys, they're highly owned, but if they're available, I would take any of them over the guys we're getting ready to go over as priority pickups. Couple guys that if none of those guys are available, I'm looking at Drew Lock here, Hus. I don't know how you feel about him.
I like his
the matchup is
in the schedule.
He's got Atlanta. They're at Atlanta this week. Atlanta's dead last defense against opposing quarterbacks. He's only 16% rostered. He just coming off a 20-point plus fantasy game. It's the second of his career against the Chargers, and the Chargers have a much better defense than the Falcons. I'm not a big fan of Drew Lock, but at the same time, the matchup is right, especially if you're one of these guys that got, Wentz or Mayfield or Burrow or Goff that are all on bye this week.
Yeah, I mean, Lock, I'm not super high on him, but right now he's certainly like a middling quarterback for you. Like right now I have him ranked 15. I have him right next to Derek Carr and Cam Newton. So I want to start Drew Lock over both of those guys. It's close though. Obviously I have them all stacked right next to each other, talking about points of a difference. But yeah, I do like Lock this week. And I do like his schedule rest of the season. So just see how, there was a lot of buzz about this guy. And he's clicking with those two tight ends. And
he's getting his wide receivers back. There's a possibility Tim Patrick could be back this week. So
yeah, and Patrick looks amazing this year. So
yeah,
always been a fan of Tim Patrick. Among those obscure guys.
Another one here we got is Nick Foles. Nick Foles just had his second 20-plus fantasy point game this season as well. Listen, he is not Mitch Trubisky. I want to throw that out there. Like the GOAT would have put up at least 40 points last week. That's just a fact, okay? But if you're looking for a shot in the dark on your bye week, I mean, he gets Tennessee. Tennessee is 20th against the quarterback. Nick Foles only rostered in 22%. I mean, you could do a lot worse than him this week.
Yeah. I mean, I think the team believes in him. I don't think that they're going to go back to Trubisky, even though
I don't think they are either.
I would. If I'm them, like,
yes.
I mean, I just think Foles is, I'm not going to get on into it too much, but Foles is Foles. Like, we know who he is. Trubisky is a, third-year player?
Yep.
We're writing him off already. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I just think back. You look at who
I look at Tannehill.
You look at who they drafted Trubisky over, and it's just like, man, what could have been?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's obviously a huge. Trubisky's going to be living with that the rest of his life.
And it's not even his fault. It's not even his fault.
Yeah, what are you going to do, right? I mean, like, they didn't tell, hey, trade all of these picks, to move up to get me when you could have waited, right? And
landed on
Mahomes, right? But, it's unfortunate for Trubisky. I don't want to start Foles because I think that there is a possibility that they would go to him. I don't think so. I think it's very, very, very small, very minute, but just a chance that they would possibly. I want to start Kyle Allen over him. I want to start Sam Darnold over him. I want to start probably Garrett Gilbert over him, just because I don't feel comfortable with that. Now, yeah, I mean, no, I'm lying. I don't want to start Garrett Gilbert. Gilbert has the Pittsburgh. I was lying.
let me ask you about Nick Mullins, starting quarterback now for the 49ers.
Yeah, Nick Mullins. I'd start Nick Mullins over him.
I would as well. In the 8 games Nick Mullins started last year, he scored at least 23 fantasy points in 4 of them. Of course, he had Kittle then. He's right. Kittle's pretty much done for the year now. He doesn't have an easy matchup week 9 against Green Bay, but if you're telling me I can get a quarterback, go out there and get me 15, maybe 20 points, I would throw money on Nick Mullins that can get you in that range, 15 to 20. He's not going to go out and throw 30 points.
No,
that's just not going to happen. That's not who he is.
Now, I will say the only thing that does worry me about Nick Mullins is the same thing with Nick Foles, right? Like they could go out there and roll out, his name's escaping me right now. Freaking Beathard, they could go out there and roll a Beathard. They're going to start Nick Mullins, sure. But I mean, they can pull Mullins. It's not the first time they have. And they can roll with Beathard.
No, they benched him week 4 against the Eagles.
Right. So, I mean, they're going to play out and see who they have at quarterback right now. I have Mullins further back too, right there with Nick Foles. I don't really want to start any of these guys.
No. And 2 other guys I had listed here is Tua and Jake Luton for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
You're not starting either of these guys. I'm not even going to.
Yeah, I hope you don't have to start any of these guys.
No.
Like I really do. Like that's brutal.
Don't be tempted. Yeah. Don't be tempted to reverse the matchup against Houston. Luton's getting the 22nd ranked defense against quarterbacks, but you know what? We're not starting Jake Luton. Mike was here. Listen, if Mike was here, Mike would be touting this dude. He'd tell you he threw for 5,000 passing yards, 42 touchdowns in college, only 11 interceptions. But you know what? I don't care. Nobody's starting.
No, I'm not.
Nobody is. Let's move on. Let's move back into a more fun position. Let's talk a little running backs.
And now he's going to go off, though.
Oh, of course. And you know what we're going to say? Well, we told you about the guy.
We mentioned him.
We told you his name.
Yeah.
We told you he for 5,000 yards in college. Jeez.
Yeah. Told you Dirty would pick him up.
We told you Mike would start him.
Yeah. What are you listening to us for?
So here's a couple of running backs, injuries of note. I'm not going to go through and list everybody. That's a huge list. It's the running back position. So it's always a huge list with injuries. You got Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, Kenyon Drake, CMC, who I don't think will be back this week, maybe next week. Although there is a chance if he can cut and looks good, they'll play him this week. But I'm not. What do you think about CMC? You think he's going to play this week, Hus? Let me throw it to you.
I think so. I think they'll play him this week just because, I think he was on the verge of possibly playing them last week, but they're just like, look, let's be safe. We have Mike Davis, he's decent at, in the replacement job. We've been hearing the broken tackles, all of that stuff, leading the league, all that stuff. So it's like, hey, why mess up something where, this guy's your future, this guy's your team, at this point. So yeah, you want to be safe with him. I do think that he plays this week. Yeah.
I've got him in a best ball where I picked him up last week.
Me too.
And just it's a weird best ball league because each week we're allowed to steal a player from the opposing team if we beat them. So like the guy I played this week, it came down to me taking either Keenan Allen or me taking Justin Herbert, the quarterback. And I looked at my team. I'm suffering with bye week issues at the wide receiver. So I went with Keenan Allen over Herbert. And I wanted Herbert, don't get me wrong, because he scores more points. But for the position, I took Keenan Allen just because, like I said, guys on bye. And I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that, to be honest. Oh, I've got McCaffrey, who gave me 0, but he didn't play, and I still won. So now I get him back this week. Hopefully he gets a full workload, and it'll just help my team be that much better. But I suck at those type of leagues. I'll probably lose this week. I'm just rambling at this point.
You're basically talking about like how the outcome of you already know, and you're just like. Was complaining about already. You're already just,
I'm foreshadowing my loss this week.
Yeah, you're already just like, look, it's happening. It's gonna go down.
Yep.
Gonna feel sad about it now on the call. And
it's terrible.
Yeah, we're bringing the people down. Let's pick them back up. Let's pick them.
No, I'm still going to bring them down because I'm still going over some of these injuries. Jonathan Taylor. We already discussed Myles Gaskins. We already talked about Jamal Williams. If you don't know about Miles Sanders, wake up. Joe Mixon's got a foot. I don't expect him to play this week. Austin Eckler's not yet ready to return from his hamstring. Mostert, Chubb, Henderson. I'm going to read the whole list. Screw it. I want everybody to feel depressed. Devonta Freeman, Mark Ingram, Sonny Michel, Tevin Coleman, Carlos Hyde, Jeff Wilson, and A.J. Dillon. That is a shit ton of running back injuries for one thing or another, whether it be COVID, whether it be close contacts in Jamal Williams' case, or whether they're actually injured. That sucks. Now, to make a bad situation even worse, guys on bye. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Joe Mixon, Gio Bernard, Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, Cam Akers, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. So who the hell are we playing at running back this week?
You? We're rolling you out there.
Listen, you've seen the video of me at SportsCon. Like, rolling me out there.
I'm rolling you out there.
Rolling me out is the definition of what would be happening.
I'm literally rolling you out there. We got to start someone. I'll take 0.3 yards over 0. So, yes. I'm rolling you out there. And the one catch for negative yards.
By the end of the game, I may get you 5 yards.
Hey, that might be the difference.
0.5 points, you never know. So guys to see if they're available on your waivers. These are guys, like I said earlier, they're over 70% owned, but you just never know, depending on your league. Jermichael Hasty, J.K. Dobbins, Justin Jackson, and Zach Moss. All of these guys, if they're not owned, they should be your lead priority for this week for as far as running back goes. Every one of them is worth owning. Every single one of them is actually worth playing this week, given everybody on a bye and everybody that is broke and sick. The guys that are under 50% owned that you should be looking into. The first guy, I'm just going to throw it to you, Hus, because I know you like this guy. DJ Dallas, go.
Ooh, baby. Oh, come on. We got time today? Do we got time today?
We got some time.
Oh man, this was so special. This was I was so happy for to see this guy blast. And the opportunity was just right there. He's just we love opportunities for back, and DJ Dallas had it, and he had a game, and the guy looks good. And I'm worried about Chris Carson because I don't think he's going to get the work like he got before when he does come back. I think they want to use DJ Dallas. They always wanted to use 2 backs.
They did. Unfortunately,
they just haven't had. They've had good backs. They just guys get injured. Carlos Hyde is a pretty good back to work in there. I feel like he's kind of too much like Carson though. He can catch pass. He's not as explosive anymore though, right?
If I read this stat line, it sounds exactly like a Chris Carson game. 18 carries for 41 yards and a touchdown, 5 catches, 17 yards and a touchdown.
Right.
Like that is a Chris Carson line. If that was a Chris Carson week for you, no problem at all. You end up with 22 PPR fantasy points. Absolutely fantastic. DJ Dallas, if he's out there, you should definitely.
You gotta have him. I mean, hopefully you were adding him prior to this week. There were some writings on the wall that. They didn't have Travis Homer. They didn't have Carlos Hyde. They didn't have all of these guys. DJ Dallas is going to be the guy. Travis Homer.
He's only 32% owned right now.
Wow. I mean, good. That's actually good for the people to the 32% that have him because I'm surprised. And I'll say quick shout out to Garrett Price, my man Garrett Price over there at Dynasty Nerds. He's been just pulling on that DJ Dallas. He's been pulling on it. I've been a big DJ Dallas fan, but I'll give it to Garrett. Garrett is all over DJ Dallas. But yeah, I'm definitely a big supporter of DJ Dallas. Love to see it. Hurts my heart a little bit because I do love Carson so much. And I didn't trade for him in any leagues this year because of Dallas. And I wanted to because I do love Carson so much.
So long term, I agree. Like, I don't think Chris Carson is going to be long for Seattle. I believe he's a unrestricted free agent after this year. And I had a huge Godfather offer for Zeke and Kyler, and so I would be giving up Zeke and Kyler in our Dynasty Superflex, right? The one that Dynasty Draft Genius runs.
Okay.
I'd be getting Chris Carson, 2021 first, Michael Thomas, and I think Derek Carr. Mega offer.
Yeah.
I had turned it down. Just because
I was going to ask what were you doing? What were you going to do? But you turned it down.
I had to turn it down. Yeah, I wasn't sold on Carson long term, and if I'm giving up Zeke, which is a running back long term, then that specific team is definitely a win now team. So I needed something that I could win now with, which I could do with Carson, but I'm looking at it as I got at least the way that team is built. I've got at least 2 years to rise to the top of that league. So
Carson or Zeke rest of the season.
Rest of this season, I'm gonna have to say Carson.
Yeah, me too.
But it's relatively.
It's not. It's not too far off.
It's. Listen, if Dalton gets back, like he's only in concussion protocol. So he should be back in a week or so. If Dallas's line gets healthy, like I think they're going to be okay. The first week we've seen Dalton, like that offensive line was ravaged with injuries. I mean, even Zach Martin wasn't even playing. They got Zach Martin back this past week. Excuse me. They should be getting another what's it called? They should be getting another offensive line or two back within the next couple of weeks. So it will close the gap significantly between Zeke and Carson. I just think that offense will run more through Zeke than the Seattle offense will run through Carson.
Agreed.
So I'm just throwing some of these up here for minimal. I absolutely agree. I don't know if zero RBs are king and queens of 2020. If you got Alvin Kamara, like you're loving life right now.
I don't know. I mean, I employ zero RB every year, and I end up with these amazing teams because running backs get injured so quick, and wide receivers don't as much.
Not this year. This year across the board.
Everyone's getting it. Everyone's getting it. But also, I was looking at the top production, and wide receivers are in the top production. It's not running backs. You can get, unless you have one of those three top elite running backs, you have those guys that are earning like, CMC, obviously Kamara and Aaron Jones. Those guys are like 23 points and up, right? Up to 28 points. After that, 18 and like lower. 18 and lower. 18 is great. Yeah. But in between that, wide receiver. So yeah, sure. If you got lucky, sure. I mean, but that conversation, that statement could easily be said for zero wide receiver, zero RB. Only thing I would say that didn't work was robust RB, right? Like you just went and grab a bunch of that didn't work. That didn't work. No. You missed out and probably got some trash.
Yes.
Unless you got Robbie Anderson later. I don't know.
I went through last week on the show and with Mike, and I read through, according to Fantasy Pros, the top 24 draft picks based on ADP for the start of the fantasy year. Only like 3 or 4 returned their value. Outside of that, it's been horrible. And up until this past week, like I almost want to say you should, if you drafted a tight end in the first round this year, like if you took Kelsey in the first, like you're not missing much because he's just been as steady as they come. Or even if you took Mark Andrews early, like it's paying off tenfold.
Andrews has been boom or bust. And he's another he's another tight end that I don't know if I'd probably trade Mark Andrews away, as crazy as that sounds, just because I want something more steady. I don't want him to give me a 6-point game in my playoffs. And he's totally capable of doing that. He's also capable of giving you 32. But I feel like, I don't know, this may sound crazy, but I feel like give me Jared Cook, who sounds very crazy. And I like yeah, but he's gonna give me at least 12 to 15 a game, and maybe he could give me that 20. But I feel like he's never gonna bust completely for me, even though he did once earlier this year. So
Oh, okay. I agree. I looked at some stats. I agree. He has been kind of up and down. All right, let's get back on topic here. Let's refocus on running backs. Damien Harris, New England Patriots.
Yeah, I like Damien Harris.
He's 61% roster, so he's pretty high up there. But if he's available, you need to get him. They're going against the New York Jets this week. I'm not saying nothing else about Damien Harris. I don't need to. He gets the Jets.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. Jordan Wilkins, tough matchup against Baltimore. Taylor, I don't know. They're saying he's got an ankle injury. If Jordan Wilkins is starting, how much fab money are you spending on him, knowing he gets the Baltimore Ravens?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm. I don't know if I'm. I mean, I'm picking him up just because I want to keep him off of somebody else's team.
Correct.
But I don't know if I want to start him. I'm probably not. I mean, I'm not going to start him more than likely. If I had to start one, I mean, it's going to be probably Nyheim Hines. Philip Lindsay can now kind of go back to his play style of I want to throw to this fast running back. Yep. I think he had to kind of go away from that just because they're like, look, dude, we drafted Jonathan Taylor. Like, we're going to put Jonathan Taylor on the field. Like, we at least need to see what he can do. And Rivers likes Hines. I mean, I think this makes Rivers happy. I think this is going to make him play better because now he can play towards his style versus just playing, like you got Jonathan Taylor back there and the type of back he is. I don't, not to say he can't catch passes because obviously he can, but he's just not that shifty, elusive, small. And that's what you want. You want these small guys that you can't wrap your arms around these guys because you're either grabbing too high and they're just going low, or they're leaping over you. These guys are, they're shifty as heck.
So let me give you the opposite end of this coin, and it's not a guy who's very shifty. I don't think he's leaping over anybody, but they play the Indianapolis Colts this week now, and so they play for the Ravens. It's Gus Edwards. He had a really
pretty good game.
He's just been anytime he's been given the opportunity,
he does well.
He does good with it.
Yep.
He had 16 carries, 87 yards, and a touchdown, which is great. I mean, Dobbins was better because Dobbins is more talented.
Right.
But I mean, when given the opportunity, Gus Edwards has been very serviceable. And if you're telling me Mark Ingram's sitting again, like, granted, Indianapolis is third against the run. But damn, I'm interested in Gus Edwards.
Yeah, I do like Gus Edwards. I mean, he's somebody that I've been stashing on a lot of my teams all season just because he's an injury away, right? Yeah. And now he's, that injury has happened. And not only that, he's looked like the better guy. You got to respect Mark Ingram, though, right? I mean, he's a vet. He's the biggest cheerleader, and no disrespect, in any type of ways. He's a guy that you want on your team hyping you up. But at this point, he's a hype man at this point, and no disrespect again to Mark Ingram, but he's a glorified running back / hype man at this point.
He's a glorified cheerleader.
Yes.
So we got a question here. How do we feel about Zach Moss?
Love him.
I
think he's going to get the opportunity. I think there's another guy that SPAC was on to earlier in the offseason. He did a SleeperWire shirt on him.
Yep.
And Zach Moss, it's great. I mean, he's looking like the player who we thought he would be. Early on, he didn't have that many opportunities. We didn't get an opportunity to see him with the opportunities. And now, as you get these guys a little playing time here and there, you start to see who's passing the eye test, and obviously Zach Moss, he's just a better player than Singletary. I want to say, I think that they're going to lean on him. I think they're going to transition. So I think they're going to use both still, but I do like Zach Moss a lot, and I think he's going to get more and more work.
I think they're going to use Singletary. Like it's what we thought in the preseason. They're going to use Singletary in the passing game. So in PPR leagues, I think Singletary is the safer running back to play. Zach Moss, listen, they gave him the most touches last week against New England than they've given him all season. And what did he do? They gave him 14 rushes. He came up with 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, the touchdowns, listen, they've got Josh Allen back there. He's going to lead the team in goal line touches.
Right.
So don't get,
count on that.
Don't count on, the touchdowns. But damn,
they're fluky anyway.
14 touches for 8. Yes, very fluky. But you're telling me 14 touches for 81 yards? Like, they're just going to give this guy opportunity to pound the ball. That's what they brought him in to do. He started off very slow. He had a couple of nagging injuries and whatnot. But, I think they've seen going up against a pretty good New England team. At least the New England defense is good. Let me rephrase that because the offense is garbage. But the defense is still, they're not the defense of New England last year, but they're still a serviceable defense. They're not just a whatever defense. He diced them up for 81 yards. So I like Zach Moss. I think he's got a role going forward. And if they get in close, if it's not Josh Allen running it in, it's going to be him running it in. They're not going to give Singletary that much. Absolutely. On the goal line. How much fab would you spend on him? He's on my waivers in 12-team PPR league.
Maybe 10-15%.
Yeah, about anywhere between 10 to 15. It honestly, it depends for me. It depends on your situation. If you are desperate for a running back, you need to spend more to make sure you get him. If you're sitting at 6-1, 7-0, you're just rolling right along, and he's a luxury player for you, 10 to 12%, might get it done. But it's situation dependent. I don't want to sit here and tell you to spend, 20% of your fab if you don't really need them. But if you're desperate at a running back, you got one of these other guys injured on the COVID reserve, and you're just desperate for a running back, your situation is going to dictate you got to spend more.
Absolutely. So
a couple other guys we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on. We talked about him a little bit with Wayne Gallman. What is he on? He's 48% owned. Pretty tough matchup this week against Washington, but with everybody out, he is a serviceable starter. J.D. McKissick, we talked about him going up against the Giants this week. Giants are 24th against the run. He's only rostered in 39% of leagues. And then we talked about Matt Breida and Tyler Ervin as well. I think both of those guys are, if you are 100% desperate, that's where you're going. I'm not really seeing anybody else out there really worth picking up. Maybe you want to stash Cam Akers. I don't know why you would. That LA Rams backfield, it's depending on who's playing that week and what the coach feels like doing is who's getting the touches. So
what happened?
I don't know. Tell me.
Okay, so this is what happened. So coach, he's in a fantasy football league, right? And someone sniped Cam Akers. And he's been holding on to him all season long. And so now, he's going to start to give him run. And the guy finally dropped him. So now he's going to pick him up, and now he's going to start him all rest of the season.
That could happen.
That's what's going to happen.
And Henderson does have a thigh injury. Right. So, I mean, listen, Malcolm Brown is going to be the guy who I think gets the biggest workload.
He made a lot of guys miss. He looked good.
Yeah, Malcolm Brown looked great.
Malcolm Brown looks good too, but I mean, Malcolm Brown, Cam Akers.
Yeah, listen, if Henderson's not there, I can see Cam Akers having a bump in a role, but man, I don't know. I don't want.
I've got him. I'm stashing him. I mean, I've had him stashed.
He's depending on the size of your bench. I say stash, yes, absolutely. But damn, I'm not rolling him out.
No, but how many guys on your bench that you're not rolling out? At this point in the season, if you're not going to start a guy, look at your schedule. Obviously.
Go ahead.
Double Dutch here. Who's jumping in? So I mean, obviously, you go ahead. I lost my train of thought.
So this time of year, what I'm actually starting to do is if I'm past the majority of my bye
That's what
weeks,
I was gonna say. Yeah,
I'm looking at
Right.
at high value handcuffs and end of season stashes. I'm not sure Cam Akers fits the mold of end of season stash. That's the problem.
So you want to stash like a Zegbo possibly over him, or
I think
you're looking at these high end players,
so
right?
Here's the problem. Like, there's so many players right now that are injured. Like, a lot of these guys you really want to stash are probably already on rosters because people are having no choice.
Yeah,
because there's so many running backs out
Right.
right now. So it's really even difficult to stash. So I guess if you're looking at it like that, I guess if Cam Akers is on your waiver wire, yeah, go ahead and stash. But God, man,
yeah, it's not pretty. But look, we're only saying this if you look at the end of the bench and you just look and you're like, dude, I'm never gonna start you. Then drop that player, pick up Cam Akers, and then if he turns out to be cool. You know, if not, drop him following week or but.
Listen, I know what you're talking about. Listen, I've got a league. It's that 16-team league I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still I'm almost embarrassed to admit this. I'm still stashing Reichwell Armstead in that league.
Oh man, I think you can let him go. I think you can let him go.
I am the James Robinson owner.
Right. I figured.
That is what the only reason I haven't cut this guy yet.
Wow.
Like, I mean, I'm not even sure the guy's even alive, to be honest.
I don't know.
He had COVID. He was put on the COVID list at the beginning of the year, and he's still on it. So I don't know, but I don't know what to do. It's like I want to cut the guy, but at the same time, I'm not even sure if he's alive. I don't think. Cut him.
See,
I should cut him and pick up Sonny Michel. Is what I should do.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's gonna go out there and pick up Reichel. I mean,
I don't think they are either.
I think people they're gonna see him like, oh, he dropped Reichel. Why was he holding? He had him. Why was he holding on to
in this league, it wouldn't surprise nobody, right? Like,
right.
It's a 16-team league. It's fair pickings on the waiver wire as it is. But yeah, there is a league where I'm still holding Reichwell Armstead. I'm embarrassed to admit that, but it is true, folks. So
I just like to pick up a guy's backup just to scare them.
Oh, I like to do it like on
does he
Friday
know?
or Saturday.
Right.
Like right before the games. If I got somebody I know, okay, I'm probably going to end up cutting this person next week, or even if somebody I haven't, like a Reichwell Armstead, for example, that I haven't played all this year. Right. I'll cut him and then pick up somebody's backup just on a whim.
Right.
And sometimes it pays off, and sometimes you're putting a waiver claim in on Tuesday and cutting the guy. But you never.
How nervous are you though when that happens? Right, when you somebody picks up a backup. I mean, you always want to. You're not nervous, right? Because you want to be cool about it, right? I wasn't going to pick up that guy. But in the back of your mind, you're nervous.
I do check to make sure the status of my player is okay.
Right. You're just like, wait, does he know something? Like, why did he pick him up?
Was there something I missed? I need to know this.
Yeah. So I always thought that was cool.
All right, let's move on to wide receivers here. Injuries of note. There's also a lot of wide receiver injuries, so I'm going to read these just to keep people depressed. Calvin Ridley, Kenny Galladay's got a hip issue. Chris Godwin's with the finger. Michael Thomas, I'm not even going to designate what his injury is. It's just Michael Thomas. Jamison Crowder's got a groin. Debo Samuel hamstring. Emmanuel Sanders is, quote, illness. T.Y. Hilton's groin. Sammy Watkins hamstring, Tim Patrick hamstring, Alan Lazard abdomen, N'Keal Harry concussion, Deshaun Jackson's got an ankle, Alshon Jeffrey's got a foot, and Perriman is in the concussion protocol. Whew, that's a mouthful. Guys on bye this week. We got a lot of good wide receivers on bye.
Yeah, we do.
Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, AJ Green, Travis Fulgham, Jalen Rhaegar, and not that he matters to anybody, but Alshon Jeffrey is also on a bye. I've been saying all year you can cut Marvin Jones
until he goes
he
off.
Went out and blew up last week. Went off last week.
And I played the worst team in the league, and of course,
Marvin Jones. Yes,
of course.
Because yes. So here we go. The guys to check to see if they're available. Let's do that first. Guys, these are guys that are 70-ish% owned. See if they're available. Christian Kirk, Cole Beasley, Mike Williams, Emmanuel Sanders, Nelson Aguilar, John Brown, Corey Davis, and Jerry Jeudy. A lot of these guys are probably already owned, to be honest. But if they're not, these are the higher priority guys for ownership. Jerry Jeudy's just coming off a game where we had 10 targets against the Chargers. It's just opportunities with all of those guys. But let's get into some of the more obscure, and they're not really even obscure, but these are guys that you can go ahead and pick up, like Marvin Jones. I've been saying all year you can drop him. I'm not even recommending picking Marvin Jones up. I'm going to actually leave him on the waiver wire.
Yeah,
because
leave that for somebody else to deal with.
What's going to happen is you're going to pick him up now that he had a game, and you're going to put him in your lineup, and he's going to go out and have a dud, even without Kenny Golladay, because I don't think Kenny Golladay is going to be playing this week.
Jeez,
so
Kenny Golladay, what a bust this year too, right?
Oh, he's killing people this year, absolutely. I mean, Marvin Jones had 13 targets the past 2 games. He scored 13 PPR points in both. One was against Atlanta, one was against Indianapolis. He gets Minnesota this week. The matchup is good. Everything is good. It's just the problem is Marvin Jones, he either has a great game or he sucks. And all year up until this week, he sucked. He had 4 catches, 113 yards on 7 targets after Kenny G was hurt against the Colts. So there is a narrative out there for you to pick him up and play him. I'm not going to
give it to you. I'm not going to give it to you.
I'm not buying into that narrative. You know who I'd rather pick up? Sterling Shepard.
Oh yeah.
I'd rather take Sterling Shepard against Washington than I would Marvin Jones.
Sterling Shepard led that team in targets last year by a good margin, by 3 targets. He was like 8.2, and everybody else was, I think the next one was Golden Tate, like 5.6 or something like that.
The last 2 games against the Eagles and the Bucks, Sterling Shepard has had 14 catches, 133 yards, and a touchdown on 18 targets.
Yeah. Dude can play.
So Sterling Shepard is what Golden Tate used to be. He's got the safe floor. He'll give you the boom game every once in a while, but you can put him in your lineup. He's never going to kill you. Contrary, you have what's his name? The other wide receiver, Slayton. Yeah. Slayton to me is your. If any wide receiver is going to give you, 25, 26 points,
it's going to be him.
Slayton.
But he's going to also give you 6.
Yes, absolutely. He will definitely give you that 6 game as well.
Yeah,
so if it's me, I like consistency. I like to have that high safe floor. I would go Sterling Shepard over Slayton, but Sterling Shepard, I mean, he's only 44% owned. So go out and get him. Somebody else who is close to returning is Alan Lazard.
Yes.
He's a guy I was picking up last week. I told you last week, go ahead and pick him up. The 2 full games he played, he had at least 17 PPR fantasy points. I mean, what more do you need from him? It's him and it's Devontae Adams in the passing game. Every once in a while, you get your big boom game from Aaron Jones, but Aaron Rodgers is going to be looking for Lazard. Aaron Rodgers misses this guy a lot.
Big boy. That's a big boy, 6'5". He's a big target, and he's reliable, and he's only his 2nd year right now. Yep. That guy's a beast, man.
He's going to be good. He's rostered in 46% of leagues, so you almost got a 50% chance that guy is on your waivers. If he is, go out and get him.
And again, points per game among wide receivers, top 12. Granted, he had a very small sample size, right? Yep. But 17 points, I'll take that until he doesn't, at least watch him, possibly do it again on my bench or not do it.
Yep. He's in that 16-team league I was telling you about. Somebody dropped him. I picked him up for $1. He's at 6-1. I've got him sitting on my bench. I'm just waiting for him to come back.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
And what that tells you is constantly be checking the transactions in your leagues.
Right.
Like we're doing a waiver show for you to do the waivers on Tuesday. But honestly, once a day, see what's going on with your league. See who they're dropping. It's never really about who has the boom game that's available. Sometimes it's about who your opponents drop. Right. If they drop in an Alan Lazard, they're thinking, okay, he's going to be out a few weeks. I'm not going to be able to hold on to him. I need the bench space. If you're just cruising along and you can, drop somebody and just put him on your bench just to make your team that much better, it's absolutely worth it. Another guy we talked a little bit about earlier, Jalen Rhaegar. For me, honestly, I think if I don't need a guy to go out and start next week, and Rhaegar is not starting next week because he's on a bye. So if I need a guy 2 weeks from now to start between Rhaegar and Lazard, you said it for you would be Rhaegar. For me, it's Lazard. I could say they're 1A, 1B. Like, let's flip a coin and start them both.
I'm good with that. I'm good
Absolutely.
with that.
We like both of them.
Yeah, we do. We love these guys.
We like both of these guys.
Yeah, these are good.
A couple other guys. I'm starting to come around on. I probably should have come around on him a lot sooner, but I'm just starting to do it. It's Darnell Mooney and
oh yeah, my boy.
Yes.
Yeah. Big fan of Darnell Mooney.
He's had 6 targets in 3 of the past 5 games. 5 targets in at least 6 games in a row. Like, I don't know what this guy needs to do to get more on our radar. Week 8 against New Orleans, 17 PPR points on 5 catches for 69 yards and the touchdown.
Dude's fast.
He's taken over. So Darnell Mooney is what
he's the number 2.
Miller to be.
Yeah, right. He's the number 2. He is the number 2 receiver now.
Yep.
And they still are including Anthony Miller. I don't say more than they should because I do like Anthony Miller, but it's becoming more and more apparent that Darnell Mooney is their second best player on the team. Yes. He's a burner.
Oh, he absolutely. He is fast.
Yeah. Yeah, he's super fast. So, yeah, I definitely like him. I've been stashing him on a lot of Dino teams earlier in the season. He should still be there. I don't know if
he's 7% owned right now.
Yeah, and a 16th and like anything above like 12 team, I think he's definitely rosterable.
For sure.
And obviously with this COVID year, you don't know who's going to get injured. So definitely, I mean, and God forbid, imagine Allen Robinson goes down. That guy's the number 1 option on the team.
Don't say that. Listen.
I don't know if you heard it. I knocked on some wood. Yeah, I knocked on wood and now my dog's barking crazy. Somebody's at the door.
I didn't know what I was going to do in a couple of leagues when Allen Robinson was in that concussion protocol, and when he finally cleared, there was a huge sigh of relief from me.
I have a huge sigh of relief. I thought he wasn't going to play at some point, but then it was crazy because when you watch, you're just like, wait, he got knocked out the game, and then he seemed visibly upset. Why'd you pull me out of this game? And then, so it was scary to not have him, but
it was a Monday night game too, which really sucked because it was shorter turnaround time.
Right.
Let's finish up these wide receivers. A couple more guys I'll just throw out there. These guys are barely owned, if owned at all. These are my, if in case of emergency, break the glass, and these are dart throws. You don't expect a whole lot. You may get boom, you may get absolutely nothing. Kendrick Bourne, we talked a little bit about Keelan Cole earlier. Braxton Berrios for the Jets. What I used to call him last year was Bayshawn Hamilton. Now it's just Dayshawn. He's no longer
He's no longer Bay. He's no longer Bay. Yep. He's no one's Bay.
Correct. And Zach Pascal. Like I said, these are just I do too, but these are absolutely desperate guys.
Yeah.
Like if Hilton misses time, okay, Zach Pascal is going to have a role. If not, if Hilton doesn't miss any time, there's not a whole lot that you're trusting with him. We're right along into the tight ends. I'm trying to burn through the rest of this. Injuries of note, we already talked about Kittle. Personally, I think he's done for the year. Same thing with Zach Ertz. I don't know if Zach Ertz is going to come back this year. I think you can write both of them off. They're both completely droppable at this point. I know you spent a lot on Kittle. Maybe you want to keep him on the bench just to see if he comes back for the playoffs, but I'm not
expecting it.
I'm not expecting it at all. Austin Hooper's got an appendix issue. Jordan Reed's got a knee issue. Jordan Aiken's got the ankle. Dawson Knox got the illness. He's down with the sickness. And Tyler Eifert's got a neck issue, which Tyler Eifert should just retire.
He always got injured.
guys on a bye. Dallas Goedert, Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant, Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett, and Drew Sample. Check to see if they're available. These are the guys, like we said earlier, they're highly owned, but you should see if they're available. Jared Cook, he's rostered in 84% of leagues. He has been an amazing tight end for you this year. If you got Jared Cook, you can plug him in. He's been amazing all but one game, especially for the tight end position, which is just a literal waste.
It's insane that I'm glad, he stuck around with the Saints, but this guy moves around and all he does is produces. Yeah. Like whenever he moves around to whatever team. Jared Cook is like probably the most slept on tight end. Yep. It's
guess who my tight end is?
And I'm a big sleeper on him too. I slept on him all last season. I made a bet with Adam. I think I haven't paid that bet. I think I need to get my toenails painted in Broncos color or something like that. So I don't know. Maybe you'll get that this weekend, guys. I do have to pay that bet. I have to pay that bet. So but yeah, that's yes.
So I'm looking it up right now just because I'm curious. That 16-team league that I keep mentioning, my tight end is actually Jared Cook. Thanks. And when you said people are sleeping on him, you're 100% correct. I took Jared Cook in the 8th round in a 16-team league. Guys that went ahead of him: Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry, Blake Jarwin, Mike Gesicki, like Chris Herndon, Eric Ebron. Like, wow. I don't know what these guys were thinking, but none of these guys.
Herndon?
Yes.
Jesus.
So listen, he was a Jets fan. That's all I can say. He was a Jets fan.
Right? I'm like, Jesus.
I think he was thinking, hey, Herndon, he was good 2 years ago. Let me see if I can slide this in. Like,
when was he good? Like
a couple of years ago, he was serviceable.
I mean, brief.
Yes, very brief. Very, very, very brief. Jared Cook, go out and get him if he's available. 84% owned.
Absolutely.
Odds are he's not. Yeah. Hayden Hurst, I would say the same thing. Same thing with Dallas Goedert. If Goedert is on your waivers, he's a must-add in all leagues.
Absolutely must-add. And he probably, you know what? He probably still is. I mean, 68%. Unless, some people are on him. Some people obviously saw the high percentage of targets he was getting in and now know Zach Ertz. Granted, they got Rhaegar now, and for Travis Fulgham is a thing now. So, but I do love Goddard. I think that you're gonna see him a little bit more in the passing game. Obviously, him coming off the game, so that helps, right? The fact that he had that low point game. Now you're able to go out there and get him because people think, oh, he's not going to do anything. No, go get him.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw just a couple of these names out at you. I want to preface it by saying it's the tight end position. Literally, we are hoping for a touchdown.
Right.
We're not telling you these guys are not going to go out and give you, at least we don't expect them to go out and give you, 20 plus points. These are just, guys that are active tight ends that have an opportunity. Yes. 8 to 12, you'd be thrilled.
Right.
First one, Eric Ebron up against Dallas this week. He's 54% rostered. Mm-hmm. He's got at least 11 PPR points in 2 games in a row. Like, it's Eric Ebron.
Yeah.
It's Eric Ebron. Need
absolutely.
I say more? Logan Thomas, I kind of like him to score a touchdown this week. I think he's due. I think he's due for a touchdown this week. He gets the Giants. Giants are right in the middle of the pack against the tight end. They're 12th against the tight end overall. He's only 28% rostered. I think Thomas gets in the end zone. I want to call my shot.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, Logan Thomas is definitely an intriguing player. He's been up and down all season. He's right outside my top 12. So yeah, he's definitely playable.
I'm gonna say he gets a touchdown. I'm calling it now. On Tuesday, George said Logan Thomas gets a touchdown.
I'm with you.
Here's a question for you. Ross Dewey for the 49ers. We know Kittle's probably done for the year. We know Jordan Reed's not out, or Jordan Reed's not healthy, excuse me. Are you interested in Dewey at all for the rest of the year?
Is it Dewey or Dwelly? I don't know.
I don't know.
I am interested in Ross Dwelly. I mean, he looked decent last year when he stepped out. And Jordan Reed is Jordan Reed. I mean, we don't know if he's going to play. Obviously, if Jordan Reed plays, you're going to play Reed over Dwelly. But yeah, I mean, I actually like Ross Dwelly. I have him on a lot of dynasty teams, so I'm gonna throw him in. I'm gonna throw him in my lineup just because some situations deeper leagues I don't have anything else. But yeah, I mean, he's a back end guy. I don't want to trust him, but if I have to, I don't have much else. I mean, the tight end's been an absolute wasteland. I mean, I'm not starting him over guys like Alberto, who's been seeing he's a top 5 guy.
I knew you were gonna bring him up.
Top five guy. He's a top 5 guy in targets among tight ends. And yeah, I mean, Locke likes tight ends, apparently.
He finally scored a touchdown this season.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'm not starting him over those guys. Gesicki, Burton, Graham. I'm starting those guys over Dwelly, but I do like Dwelly. I definitely add him. He's a sneaky because Jordan Reed is going to be the guy that people are targeting. So he's so
if Reed is out, who would you rather start? Dalton Schultz or Ross Dwelly?
Dwelly, for sure.
Hooper or Dwelly?
Hooper or Dwelly? Give me Dwelly. Yes.
Okay. Hooper's on a bye, so that was a good call.
Yeah. I'm like, wait. And I'm looking at my record. I was like, wait, I don't even see him here. And I'm like,
he's not there. He's on a bye.
I'm like, he's so bad that he's off my rankings for the week. No, he's on a bye. Okay.
All right, so we're pretty much done with the waiver show. I'm just going to throw out a couple of defenses and kickers like I do every week. We are 100% not going to go over and cover any of these defenses and kickers. These are just guys that have pretty good matchups that if you don't have a startable defense and you're streaming the position, like these are guys that or defenses that you can go out and pick up that would be interesting plays. Washington versus the Giants is a good play. The Cardinals versus Miami is a good play. Packers versus San Francisco with all their injuries is a good play. And the Giants at Washington is actually a pretty good play.
It is. These are all top 12 guys for me this week, actually. So
yeah. And Mike gave me his list of kickers. He would be extremely disappointed in me if I did not give out his kickers of the week.
He's gonna kick you in the nads from.
No, Mike submits his kickers every week. He's our kicker expert on SleeperWire. We route all kicker questions to Mike. Listen, when you're an expert in the field, you're an expert in the field. The guys he's saying that
SleeperWire.com and send ask a question right now. Go to SleeperWire.com and send him a question right now.
If it's a kicker, it goes right to Mike. Right. Like we don't step on that man's toes.
No, never.
Yeah, he says you can start Fairborn at Jacksonville, Zane Gonzalez at Miami, and Nick Folk at the Jets. So
I heard him say
those are all Mike's kickers of the week. He says you're guaranteed to at least get a kick in or two. So
starting with confidence.
Do what you want with it. So, Goose, that is the waiver show, man. We ran long. Both you and I are extremely long-winded, and we kept it under an hour and a half.
Yeah, I don't know how we did that.
I feel like if we would have asked, I don't either, because I feel like if we would have took a poll before the show and said over under hour and a half for you and I, man, everybody was taking over. Everybody was taking over. These guys going an hour 45
easily. Hey, we're running. We got about a minute and 15 before we give them that. So
yeah, but we're getting out of here. So I've got to go. Listen, I've got to go eat. I got to text Mike. I want to find out how the baby's doing. So.
Sure.
I want to thank everybody again who tuned into the Waiver Wire show. You can tune into all of our SleeperWire shows we got coming up next. What's tomorrow is the mail sack. The mail sack. The sack is full. Go watch Lucas and his band of misfits on the mail sack with Steve. That will be a call-in show. They will take all your questions, give you all your answers. Trade, start, sits. That's what they do. That's their specialty. We are the Waiver Show. Until next week, appreciate you joining me, brother. And everybody else, have a great night. And I'm ending.